All right, Mike, so we've talked about the weirdness that happens at my mom's house.
Yeah.
And there's been some weird things that have gone on lately. I usually keep them quiet. It's not really stuff that's too shocking to me or enough to tell you about. A seasoned veteran of the subject. But it's still weird to talk about this place. The house I grew up in had a lot of weird stuff happen to it. And the house that we're talking about now is my mom's current house, which was my grandmother's house. And that place has always had some weird feelings to it, which we'll get into. I always kind of clam up when I talk about it because I don't want to sound too woo-woo-y, I guess. But I'm just going to forego that filter that I have and just let it rip as far as the feelings I get from that place and what other people say about that place. But yeah, there's some weird stuff that's going on. And we've got a little evidence that we've come across that's rather weird.
It's spooky evidence.
It is. But the house that we're going to talk about, it's now my mother's house. It was my grandmother's house. They've had it since, I think, 1980. They've had it forever. I actually did some research today. I've done it before trying to find out what the fuck's wrong with this place, but I did some pretty deep research today, and I found a place that let me search pretty much every newspaper from around this whole area and surrounding areas. And I searched back from, I think it was 1905 till now. And absolutely nothing came up. Nothing at all. So I couldn't find anything interesting, like maybe a horrible fire or some type of crime scene or something that would warrant the type of activity that goes on at this place.
Maybe it was just some damn fool kids.
Who knows? Maybe it's where it's built.
They got out and then they had a party, and all that's left behind are didn't shit all over causing.
Well, the only way that I can describe this place is some type of like a train station, or maybe like a way station is the feeling I get.
Or a party hub?
Maybe, but there's not too much
paranormal
partying.
Party hub?
Maybe, but there's not too much
hey,
partying.
You don't know how you would party when you're on the other side. You know, that's
yeah. Well, maybe I do. I would definitely be scaring the shit out of people, so
yeah, you see? Maybe that's a party. It's like, oh dude, the best place.
But I say that because dealing with certain things for a very long time, just like with the history of my family that we've talked about, you get used to the feelings that show up when other things show up. Like we've talked about, the terror feeling is kind of like your ghost alarm. And it's a very specific set of sensations. It's not anything else we could attribute to any other feeling. So that's why we've narrowed it down to a ghost radar.
That's a scientific term, by the way.
Yes. So at my mom's house, I might call it my grandma's house. I'll just call it my grandma's house for now, but my mom lives there. You'll get that feeling a lot. And we noticed that it wasn't when we'd lost a family member or something like that. It was always something that we'd consider like a stranger. And that was a little unusual from what we'd experienced.
What do you mean, someone you'd consider a stranger?
I don't know. Like if something was around at our old house, the house I grew up in, I don't know how or why. We can talk about it for sure. But my mom would always be able to say, oh, it's this. Or I think it's this person. Because what would happen, she would always able to relate it to somebody and link it to somebody. And it was very rare to where she wasn't able to do that. And she would act accordingly. If there was something there, she felt that there was something there that was not familiar to her. It was instantly unexciting. You can tell she was nervous about it.
So she felt that it was actually a malevolent presence then?
That was on rare occasion.
Or was it just she was nervous because she couldn't recognize it?
She couldn't recognize its energy. She didn't know why it was there, or even how it got there. But she was messing with shit that would perfectly explain why other things were there. But that didn't really happen that much. Maybe once or twice as a kid growing up. But experiencing those things and getting used to those feelings and trying to recognize those feelings at my grandmother's house. It always felt like a fucking stranger, and it always felt very busy. Like it wasn't like there's like you had a feeling like there's somebody in a room with you. It feels like there's 10 people. When you're in the kitchen, it feels like there's 10 people in there. And when you look into the living room, you can almost feel like you can see 12 or 15 people standing in there. And it was always like that. And on top of that, it always felt like it was always different energy. It wasn't like it was like, oh, there's that thing doing that thing again. Like something that would repeat itself, like in a normal haunting. Like we hear about cases, like I just watched one on Unsolved Mysteries where this ghost that lives at this lady's house, he doesn't do anything but play pranks on her, and she loves it. She doesn't have a problem with him. But you're able to identify events that could be attributed to a specific spirit. So like, oh, there's a ghost here. He likes to do this. They like to slam this door. They like to turn the lights on. And at my grandma's house, there was never anything like that. There was never anything that was the same when it came to these types of things, if that makes any sense.
So it was like, I know. So when you talk about the oppressive feeling, like I kind of know what you mean by that. But wait, when you say it's a way station, how do you mean that it felt like a way station? Like, did it just always feel like there were people there and that was?
I'll just say the best way I can. Like if I don't, I didn't live near her. I would come to visit every once in a while, so I wasn't there as often as they are, of course. But
because like the way that you're calling it, like to me, it seems like the fucking poltergeist with like weird vortex things that suck people up, and then all these ghosts walk in the back in a weird.
That might be a little bit too scary for what's going on there, but maybe on the same page, maybe. Like,
oh wow!
Like when I would show up there. And of course, that alarm would go off, and I would know what it is, and it would just seem like a lot. Like there's a lot of people. You can feel that it's not just one thing. It's very crowded feeling. And let's just say that I would get the impression of fuck it. Let's say that there's a guy that's a lumberjack. In my mind, I got the impression of a lumberjack, and I would go, okay, that's kind of what's going on here. And then I came back a month later. It would feel just as busy. I would get the same alarm. Yeah, now there's a woman that's in a 40s dress in the image in my head. And it was always different. And it wasn't just one impression I would get. There'd be like 5 or 6 type of things. My brain would be trying to get a feel of what was going on, but it was just too busy. So I can never get a fix on it. It's always I swear to God, I love my mom and my sister. It has nothing to do with them, but it's fucking agitating being there. It's agitating. I'm always short-tempered when I'm there, and I don't know why. I love that house. I've been going to the house since I was born. But maybe it's some type of subconscious attempts.
And they don't feel weird about it at all?
Oh yeah, they do. They feel it all the time. They've grown accustomed to it, and it's only major things that'll stand out to them. And that's the stuff that we'll talk about. But they get the sensations too. That they're sensitive to those types of things with what they've done. I mean, they've done a lot of stuff there to cause this type of stuff. Like you said, Ouija board stuff is a joke. That's not too far off.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they've fucked with Ouija boards there. So I think there's seances that's been conducted there. There's been a lot of stuff. Yeah. I think my mom's had like mediums and psychics over just because the shit that happens there's just, it all sounds fake and movie like, but it's what's going on there. I mean, it's some of it's goofy. It's fun to talk about and I'm laughing, but it's different when your mom calls you at 11:30 and she's panicked when, she goes to bed at 8:30 because she gets up at 5, she's not awake then, but she's calling you. Something's upset her. And it's not because somebody's trying to get in the house. It's just something that's going on at the house. But nothing's ever been threatening. Nothing's ever been bad. And maybe that's because after, messing with shit like that, when I was a baby and when my mom was younger and stuff like that, she spent a lifetime of trying to protect herself and learning about that as well. So I'm sure there's some good.
Is that why because you've mentioned before your dad was like that too. Is that they like that independent of each other, or was it because they knew one another?
No,
they got like that.
That's how they met. They met at a bar and started talking about that stuff. And
oh wow,
yeah,
and they just so happened to do the same stuff or knowledge. That's cool.
Talking about the paranormal birthed yours truly. You're welcome.
And look at you now. Balls deep in the paranormal.
Yep. Sharing this story with all 15 of our listeners. So being somebody that's had paranormal experiences, do you have any questions about this place so far? Because it sounds like I'm gearing you up for like a flying ghost and shit like that.
I want to get into the meat of this.
Oh, okay. So one of the bigger things that happened in my recent memory at this house, I'll have to explain how it's set up a little bit. We don't enter through the front of the house. It's an older house, and it's not falling apart or anything like that, or dilapidated. It's just we don't use it, and we go through the side. And once you enter through the side door, you can go left into it's like a add-on living room to the house. It's like just a huge room. And then you can take a right and go into the main part of the garage and continue on to the house. So we spend most of our time in this huge room. It's set up like as like a rompus room. It's got tons of shit in there. And on basically the whole trim of the ceiling of the room, like on the roof, there's like a little shelf that hangs, I'd say like a foot from the ceiling on almost the whole perimeter of this room. And my family worked for Kodak for many years, so they were able to make as many enlargements of any photo they wanted for years, as often as they wanted to. So all along this little shelf area, they had framed pictures. There had to be like maybe 20 pictures, 8 by 11 framed photos that sat on the rim of this little shelf thing. And it's my grandpa made that room, so I don't know. It's just made to look cool. It's like he was an old sailor, so it's, fucking barnacles and all that cool shit in there. But my mom had a friend who had just passed away, and she had told me that they were talking about her, and the only picture that she had of her on this ledge thing of pictures fell off the ledge and hit the TV that was under it. And they thought that was interesting. They just took note of that. That's not enough to panic about that it was just, this specific person. And they said they picked it back up and put it on the shelf, and they sat down and continued to talk. And I think it was my sister who actually saw it leave this shelf thing this time. And she said there was no downward trajectory to it. It just flew across the room. And so
she actually saw it leave the place that it was sitting in. She didn't see it like mid-flight. She saw it just knocked right off from where it was standing.
Yes. So that's
Mm-hmm.
So when they tell me something like that, I can't take that to heart too much. I mean, it's interesting. It's scary to hear a story like that a little bit. Just seeing something fly. I mean, not fly. It was hit. And she said it almost went up in an arc as it came off this little shelf thing. So I when stuff like that happens there, I take it with a grain of salt. Okay, cool, Mom. I'm going to just pay attention and, use your feelings. Just pay attention to what you're feeling and what's going on there. If it gets worse, let me know. And nothing happened for about a week. And she had called me and told me that all the pictures on the ledge blew up. And I didn't understand. And this was a while ago. I'm maybe like 22, 23 years old. Not that long a while ago, ladies. But I didn't know what that meant. I didn't know what to take from that. I asked her, what do you mean they blew up? She said, we're all just sitting there watching TV and they all exploded. And I didn't believe that she was using the words correctly. I was like, okay, whatever. And I didn't go there for a long time. And when I went, I noticed that there's only maybe 3 or 4 photos that were on these ledges in the room. And I said, where did all the pictures go? And she said, I told you they exploded. And I said, okay, well, stop and sit down and tell me what the fuck you mean these pictures exploded. And she said they were just sitting there watching TV. I think my sister was watching TV and my mom was at the computer desk doing some work on the computer. And she said they all exploded. And I said, what do you mean? She said, all the glass broke and shot forward and the frames broke apart and flew forward and hit the floor. And I was like, what?
It's fucking crazy.
And I was like, you've got to be kidding me. How many of them did this? She said, all of them.
Did the photos themselves blow out, or was it just the glass that?
It was just the frame. Like even the wood that was the frame broke apart.
And the pictures were still fine?
Yes, the pictures were unharmed.
Wow.
So again, I was like, what? I have to laugh. I'm like, what do you mean? And she goes, those pictures that are up there, those are new. Nothing survived. They exploded. So I'm sitting there talking to her, and as I'm talking to her, I'm looking around, and under this coffee table, I just see like broken glass from like a car accident, like the tiny pieces from a broken like car window. And I'm like, what the fuck is all this? And she says, that's the glass. I'm telling you, they all fucking exploded. I was like, well, how would they fucking explode? Because I'm moving on beyond a paranormal experience here, because she showed me like a pile of picture frames. The fucking nails that hold the pieces together were bent. And I'm beyond a paranormal experience here. I'm like, what happened? Do you have a gas leak because at the time they smoked. I'm like, what the fuck's going on here? So a short time later, my sister gets home and I'm like, dude, we'll call her Dave. David, what happened? And she's like, dude, the fucking pictures exploded. Like she said, just imagine if somebody put little fucking nickel-sized pieces of C4 on every fucking picture that's on those shelves and blew them up. They all exploded. And that's what they left it at. It took them a while to get enough pictures to refill those shelves. I'll take a picture of how it's set up now. There's a bunch of pictures up there now. That's all filled now. But I didn't believe them when it happened when I talked to them on the phone about it. And even going there, I had to see this pile of like wreckage of all these broken frames. And they've never gone into more detail about it. They weren't doing anything to cause that. It's just that's the type of thing that happens at this house.
But when you said it didn't, like it was harmful, but that sounds pretty violent to me.
It does. And that's one of the times to where one of the things that's there did something negative. You know, I remember asking my mom about it to talk about it tonight, you know, just to refresh my memory on how it happened. Because when it happened, I laughed it off. And when she told me, I mean, like I was concerned about some type of like gas or maybe some weird failure in a house. But, you know, after I left, I went home. I was like, well, if that's a paranormal experience, that's alarming, you know? So I wanted to, and I still just didn't, for some reason, I just put it in the back of my head and they never talked about it again. If something like that happens, they'll tell me and they don't want to talk about it after that. They don't want that shit to be listening and for it to get active or something. So
yeah, stop talking about it. You're going to give it ideas.
So she's like, we were ducking, bro. She's like, there's 20 fucking pictures up there. We were covering our faces. The glass was bouncing off our hands. It was a violent explosion. So that's one of the times where that was a negative entity, I think, that was doing that. And I didn't get that feeling when I walked in. I felt the normal rush of, 50 people, the scary feeling of whatever's there. But maybe I just numb myself to that feeling when I get to that place, because it doesn't disrupt me. I'm able to go there and have fucking Christmas, and it's no disruptive. It's not disruptive or distracting at all. But maybe that's just because we're used to it. I had my sister.
It's like having a family.
Well, I see. None of these people are family. I don't get that feeling from anybody.
But they're becoming.
Yeah, my sister had a friend from out of town.
Christmas with the ghost.
My sister recently had a friend stay over from out of town, and she told me he's not into this shit at all. And after he was there for 2 days, that's all he wanted to talk to me about. And I didn't get a chance to sit down and talk about what he saw was going on. My sister told me about something that happened while he was there, and he was just left a full believer in ghosts.
Time.
Yeah.
What do you know what he experienced?
My mom has this set of candles. They're electronic candles, so you turn a switch on, and it lightly flickers like a fucking real candle. And they were all chilling in that room, that party room. It's not a party room. We don't do rails of coke and shit in there. It's just where everybody chills. And it just turned on. And my mom looked at him, and because she knew what was going on, and she goes, "Will you turn that off for me?" And he got up and turned it off. And my mom told me that it turned on 5 more times until he's like, "I'm not touching it." And they got up each time. It got up, and it was what they said it was on each time. Yeah.
And he couldn't think of any other reason behind it for that much.
Yeah, that's what there's no other way for him. Huh. It's a little on and off switch.
Wow, that's crazy. You made a believe. Well, you didn't. They made it.
Yeah. So
I love hearing stories when a skeptic go back and have different ideas of what is real and what isn't based on their own personal. Like once it happens to them, that's the proof that shit.
And again, admittedly, there's a long period in my life to where I wasn't paying attention to any of this type of stuff. I didn't want to. It had followed me everywhere I fucking moved. So I was trying my best not to see anything like that. There's times where I was drinking myself to go to sleep so I didn't have to deal with seeing anything like that. Just dealing with sleeplessness and having to stay up till 3 a.m. every day. And having seen shit like that your whole life, going to the bathroom's a little unnerving.
Just that I remember as a kid that be like, it's the middle of the night, you just wake up from the bathroom, but that means I've got to walk to the bathroom and get out of my bed.
Oh yeah. I mean, experience that as an adult, as somebody who's supposed to be, the man of the house. just because you've seen so many weird things in this particular place, in the houses I've lived at. And it's 3:00 and I fucking had 2 beers. I'm like, God damn it. Flashlight doesn't help. I've literally ran from the bathroom back to my bedroom and God damn it, I'm fucking over 30 years old. But it doesn't matter. As far as that fear, dude, as far as that fear feeling that we get, and I'm sure a lot of people get it too, but you're one of the only people I know who share that sensation when something like that's around. But man, there's been times where I've opened my door to go to the bathroom and it's almost like you can hear a sound, like a background hiss, a fuzz, and you're like, fuck. It's like that. And you instantly, your arm hairs stand up.
Yeah, dude.
You're like, it's there. I know it's there. So I'm like, fuck it. I'm walking to the bathroom, and I've gone to the bathroom and walked back and had that fuzz get so loud that I've ran. Like have it go.
Dude, I used to have things like that happen. I mean, not where the would rage, but I would hear that, and it would always feel like it was chasing up the stairs.
Yeah,
and that shit used to freak me out so bad, man. And I never like attributed it to a haunting. Like I more so just attributed it to my own imagination being the best of me. But it would genuinely freak me out where I would really feel like there was something behind me on the stairs. So I would just like really quick rush up the stairs. As soon as I got to the very top step, it was fine. And this was like when I was a teenager, not as a little kid. So I don't know. I'm not saying that's a haunting, but I have experienced those other things in the house and felt that fear in the house. But it makes sense though, honestly, like, because until you just brought it up now with that feeling, and that was always just something that I attributed to my own imagination getting the better of me based on my previous experience. I just thought, like, because it would always happen at night, so of course it's dark and I'm going to bed. I start thinking about that fear.
Yeah, that shit's horrible. I hate that feeling.
I haven't had that since I was probably a teenager, though.
Oh, lucky
For
you.
some reason, like, I think it was around the time that we got a dog that I stopped hearing things, experience anything.
Really? At the place you're at now?
Yeah. No. When I was still living with my parents.
Oh, okay.
Because I got my dog when I was living there when I was 8, and shortly after I got her, like probably once she became full grown, things stopped.
I wonder why that is. We should research that because that is interesting.
Yeah, I don't know. But she used to bark at, like, she would look at random spots and just start barking at it.
Yeah, at this house, at my grandma's house, my mom's had 3 different dogs there, and they all do that. That's always creepy. I hate witnessing that.
Yeah, because what are you barking at? That's the middle of the floor. Why are you standing there barking? There's something there.
My mom's current dog will do that. I think she did that to my wife one time, and he loves my wife. When we get there, he doesn't want to deal with anybody else. He says, sit with my wife. And he was barking like that above her head, but past her head. And I didn't like that. I told her to move, and he stayed on that spot and barked at that spot. And that, to me, again, it's being at that place, knowing how it goes. I'm like, there's nothing there. There's right there. I don't have to wonder if the dog's got a sixth sense. I can believe that to a degree. I just never put too much into it. I wouldn't keep a dog or a cat around for protection of that type of thing. That would never enter my mind, but...
Well, not protection, but maybe a warning.
That's what the Boo Buddy's for.
Yeah, that's true. Who needs a pet when you can have a Boo Buddy? Because sometimes people want to pet something warm, Mateo. They don't want a soulless robot. They want a nice, cuddly creature.
They want some skin contact comforting after that.
They want some snuggles. They want to be warned, and then they want to be snuggled. Is that so much to ask?
Well, see, that's part of the feeling that accompanies one of those things being around, is that there is no snuggling that'll help that. There's no comfort that exists when you have that.
Maybe they just want to snuggle, and they can't. Imagine that. They just want a hug.
Another weird thing that happened is something that I forgot about, and like I said, when I talked to my mom about refreshing my memory about some of the weird shit that's gone on there, is my mom has a desk next to her bed. So like her head would rest on the side of the desk. And when she goes to sleep reading. She takes her glasses off and she reaches above her head and puts her glasses on her desk. I've seen her fall asleep this way, being there too late watching fights or some shit, or just fucking being a loser and hanging out at my mom's house. But that's what she does to go to sleep. And she got up one morning and she got ready for work. And my sister had gotten up before her and went to work. And she had left her a note saying, cute glasses. And my mom didn't think anything of it. And she went to work, normal work day, and came back. And my sister was there, and she said, "Did you get my note?" My mom goes, "Yeah." She goes, "What the fuck are you talking about?" She goes, "Your new glasses. Your new glasses they're cute." And my mom, looked at her glasses. She keeps them on like one of those tethers around her neck. She works merchandise, so she's moving around a lot, has to put them on to read a lot. And my mom, she swears up and down they're not her glasses. She's never seen them in her life. Part of her job in merchandising is working with sunglasses, and she's done that for over 15 years. She's never seen these glasses before, any glasses like them. She said she's tried to look them up to see what type of glasses they are, and she can't find anything. There's no name or anything on them, but even my sister was like, okay, let's say they're not yours. She didn't think that they were the type of glasses my mom would buy. They look old. They have like the little flecks of like pink and green and yellow like markings or shapes in the
like something out of the 60s.
Yes, they're very old looking. That's my mom just calls those the magic glasses. She just she put them in the garage. She doesn't want them in her bedroom because she for her, she doesn't know where they came from. She said those weren't the glasses that she was reading with when she went to bed.
And hers there?
No, not the ones.
They never showed up?
No. She has multiple pairs of glasses. She's the type to have a pair in her car, or two pair in her car, and one at her desk. She'll, have one at the kitchen table in case she's in there and she's doing something and she just happens to grab something and starts reading. She has her glasses there. She's not willy-nilly or haphazard with her glasses. Everybody in my family wears glasses, so, I mean, if they don't have their glasses, they can't see.
I know.
So that was another weird thing that happened there that she can't explain. That's another one that when she told me, I was like, okay, whatever. I don't even know what to think about that.
All of this is what is going on?
I have no idea, but this final story it almost has the same feel to it with something appearing out of nowhere that seems out of place, but
yeah, and this is the one you told me about, right?
Yes.
All right.
Okay, so I'm just going to relay to you guys and to you, Mike, the best way I can exactly what she told me. It might not make sense at first. It might not seem like the story's going anywhere, but just bear with me. My mom says she was at, I think it was Target, and she tried on a pair of jeans. And she said she didn't like that pair of jeans, so she went and got a second pair of jeans. And she tried on the new pair of jeans. She then tried on the first pair of jeans to compare them to the second pair of jeans and decided to put on the second pair of jeans again. And finally made her choice with the second pair of jeans.
The whore.
Paranormal stuff.
I'm glad that we got the dressing out of the way.
So my mom decides to buy these second pair of jeans.
Oh, how much? What bill denominations did she use?
I'm not sure, but I'm sure it was spooky.
I hope it was spooky. She got haunted dollar bills.
So she buys these jeans. She says she takes them home, and she says the first thing she does is wash them. She washes them, she dries them, she takes them out, and they didn't shrink the way she liked it. So she decided to wash them again. That's in the washer, just the jeans, and then into the dryer, just the jeans. And she said that she went to go wash them a third time, and help in order to help the jeans shrink, I guess. I don't know about clothes shit. And she noticed that there was something in the washing machine. Now, my poor mom tried to get me to come over to look at this 3 or 4 times. But again, I have to apologize to her and to you guys because I'm trying to relay this story. If she tells me something like this over the phone, it's no good. I got to sit down and talk with her about this. I like to watch people's demeanors when they're talking about spooky shit. I have to sit down and really be engrossed on what they're telling me. So she tried to get me to go over for a while. She's like, I found this in the washing machine after the story I just told you guys. She washed these pants that she got. There was nothing in the washing machine before. She doesn't know what this thing is. Please come over and take a look at this. I didn't come over. I didn't have time. And she finally sent me a picture. And you saw it, Mike. It's probably about the size of your pinky. It looks like a copper tube. It appears to have a checkerboard etching pattern on it. And it's very light. And it's fucking old looking. And she said that she thought it was some type of knife, so she wants me to look at it.
So when she was washing it, she didn't hear it rattling around in the washer the first time she washed it?
No, not at all. I told her, you would have heard that. She said it made no sound at all on any of the times she washed it.
So it just appeared.
Yes. She said it didn't make any sound. That's not how she found it. She just happened to see it in there. So I take a look at the pictures. It's very weird. I've never seen anything like it. I have plenty of knives. My whole family, my dad, my grandpa, they were into knives. We all carry knives. I know about knives, and I hadn't seen anything like this. We have a friend of the show who actually makes knives for a living, and I sent him the photos, and he had never seen anything like it before. So I finally get to my mom's house, and I look at this thing, and she says she's found out that if the backside of this thing, the butt of this little tube, is a button. And if you push this button and hold it upside down, a knife blade actually fell out, which I found interesting. So with some research, we found out that it's something called a gravity knife. Now, we had a friend find an article for us, and I sent it to you, Mike, and I sent you the photo that I was sent of what was found in this washing machine. And I've since gone over and
Both will be.
Yes, both will be in the show notes. And I've handled this thing, and he's found this article. And this article is about Eagle Pencil Company. And it has this write-up about the company, and it has their pencils and some pictures of their very old-timey advertisements. It says the company was made in 1856 and closed down in 1945. But halfway down this little article here, there's a section on gravity knives. And I shit you not, there's a photograph of the exact same gravity knife that my mom found in her washing machine. Now, it's pretty weird that we don't know where this fucking thing came from, and that it's not any of ours. It's that, according to this article, the gravity knife that she found in her washing machine was made in 1859. So we have no fucking idea how a 100-plus-year-old knife ended up in an empty washing machine that was just used twice. And I didn't want to bring it up or talk to you about it until...
Why wouldn't you want to bring that up or talk to me about it?
Until
that's weird. Of course I want to know about it.
I had mentioned it to you. My mom found this thing in a washing machine. I don't know what it is. She did, it was that brief. Just because, like I said, did they have so many things to report like this? I got to kind of pick and choose which one I got to think about. But after I was sent this article and saw the photo of this, that's when I had to tell you about it. Mike, what the fuck is a 130-year-old knife doing in my mom's washing machine? This makes no sense.
It was a ghost Boy Scout who left it. He won it after selling a bunch of popcorn, and his mom threw his Boy Scout uniform in the washing and it got clean, and he left his knife there when he got it. I went back and shucks, Mom, I left my pen in the future, and now it had been moved. Has no idea what's gonna haunt your house forever. Give me back my knife. I want my knife.
He could have it, dude. He could have it.
He's not going to get his whittling merit badge because you took his knife.
Well, see, that's just the thing. Reading this article, it says it was made to sharpen pencils. I don't know what the fuck pencil you're going to sharpen with this knife. I mean, you couldn't sharpen a golf pencil with this thing. It's not sturdy enough to. It's not built to. Like the part
it's over 100 years old. What do you expect?
They had weaker pencils back then?
Well, it was probably a lot sturdier back then. I'm sure the mechanism got loose and it's all jangled, fitted in place, and like an old axe shaking, it all rattled and dangled.
It's just so bizarre, the construct of the thing. I mean, you press the button and it opens these two fingernail-like clippers that are pinched shut, and you push the button and hold it upside down, which causes them to slide forward, which makes them open. And then
so I'm sure there was probably tension on there 100 years ago.
Maybe,
and over time, it's just
maybe, but even still, I don't see how that thing would be useful to sharpen anything. It just, even the design of it just doesn't seem like it would do a good job. And I mean, if you had a knife, just use that. It would be way better. And I started to think about where this could come from, and I thought about my grandpa, but he died over 20 years ago. All his shit was moved out and put into storage and stuff a long time ago. So, I mean, I don't know where this could come from. I've thought about every explanation. that I could think of. I don't. Would you consider that a paranormal experience?
I don't know if I would. You don't just because you don't know is not paranormal. I would say, given everything else that's gone on, that it's more likely to be paranormal. Because of, there's obviously been other crazy things that have happened, and the thing with the glasses. So there's a precedent set for it. But if this was like an event that happened on its own, I wouldn't be even rid of paranormal.
What do you think that means? I mean, I don't know. If this was put there by a spirit or ghost, what does that mean?
Well, maybe it wasn't even something that was put there. Maybe it's because the house is like this waypoint or like a crossing where all this weird stuff happens. Maybe there's just like weird events where things go through time. And maybe that was a knife that some who lived in that area carried and lost right there. Somehow fell in time hole. And
very well could be. I mean,
like,
my grandpa was a carpenter and he had a knife that he had on his hip, but I have that, I know what knife he used to sharpen his pencils with. There's lead marks on it.
Yeah, maybe this was just, do you know what year the house was built?
No, and I tried to find out, but I couldn't find anything.
Because maybe it's an older house. Yeah, and even if it wasn't, though, it could have just been owned by someone a couple generations ago who had this old knife. Because, I mean, think about it. Even in the 50s, that knife was 100 years old.
Yeah, but why is it in the fucking washing machine? My mom, they've lived there
some
since
sort of weird... Yeah, like you said, it's a waypoint. It's just like this crossing area for the weird.
Do you think there's something more going on than some type of spirit vortex going on now? Maybe there is some type of time thing going on?
Well, I mean, who's to say they're spirits to begin with, Maybe it's consciousness being like coming through time, or maybe not time, but dimensional breach of some sort. And so they're able to connect through time because of this breach. And, because my opinion on ghosts. I don't think ghosts are dead people. And it just doesn't make sense that they're dead and they would still stick around. It just doesn't make sense, because if given the choice, don't you think most people would stick around?
Yeah.
Why aren't we all ghosts? We're alive. That's why we're not ghosts. But why aren't all dead people ghosts? Is it contingent upon religious belief? Like, depending on your religion, you get your own afterlife? Because that would be kind of neat. I want to start a real dying cupcake Sunday.
Yeah. I wonder how many people would be like, send me back to the Bay Area 2019 now.
Yeah. I love upstate New York. Take me back to the winter.
But even if we break this down to, let's say there's some type of vortex of time looping that's going on here. This is like a materialization. If this is some type of time portal, there's a piece of something that came through it, and that's solid in our reality. That's some weird shit. That's some heavy shit.
Yeah, it is. And like, especially when you think of the implication, like if things are able to cross time and dimension, like what's preventing you from just like going to the bathroom and as you walk through the door in some
See, that's the scariest fucking thing I can think of, man. And that's literally one of the big factors why I study the paranormal, is that when you read about a story about somebody disappearing like that, and I know I've said it before on the show, I mean, that's the scariest goddamn thing in the world. That's why the missing 411 is so fascinating. Because there's people who've been, reported that fell asleep in the woods after drinking, but there's people who've walked behind trees and, go where? I instantly just think of like the world in that movie Labyrinth. I would hate to be trapped there. I would swallow my own tongue, dude. I would love for him to sing to me. I'm just talking about the oddness of that reality.
You just want to look at his package.
I do. I'd be like, dance, skinny man, dance. Twirl them crystally balls.
Thank you for listening to the Whatcast. You can find us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, iTunes, and YouTube. Enjoy the podcast. Get yourself a Whatcast t-shirt or a sticker pack. Who was that dude on that one episode? Try the links in Homie's page. All this and more can be found at www.thewhatcasters.com. Thanks again for listening and have a great week.